So Ed, do you get fools like that? You're selling exotic cars. I imagine you have clients with expertise coming in. No.
Some do, yeah, sure. But like, for instance, you talk about how much a bank will finance on a car. A lot of times, banks in general will finance about 110% of MSRP. And so they're planning on some taxes, maybe a little bit of negative equity, maybe some, perma stain junk, put on there. And then they kind of know they're playing ball with the dealers. And as long as nobody tries to sell a car rather immediately, owing 110% of MSRP is a bad idea, but not something that, could not be overcome if they own the car 2-3 years and they come try to trade.
Mm-hmm.
However, if there is a gigantic rebate on the car, especially early on before they figure out that's a big liability they've got, it can be a massive problem. So we set the Cannonball record in October of 13. We got the McLaren franchise in about September. So we had just gotten them. And whenever you take on a new franchise, particularly as an exotic store, you agree to take on a ton of inventory that is unsellable. Like it has the wrong options. It's just the worst stuff. They usually have 1 or 2 cars. So it's not like it's a 500 wagon that nobody wants. I mean, they want the cars, but they didn't want that one because it has like a stupid cost for some option that nobody cares about. So we had 21 2014 McLaren 12C Spiders in stock. And they'd already announced the replacement. And there was a $60,000 rebate on them, as I recall.
How much are they?
They're $300,000. No, so I had about it was a $40,000 rebate and maybe a little bit more if we needed it. Like it's kind of a flexible rebate, but it was at least 40. So I had $30,000 in markup. So I had about $70,000 to $80,000 to discount these cars, and I could finance about $330,000. So it was one of those things where, as everybody was calling me, congratulating me, asking me about the record, like talking about that, I was like, well, hey, what do you think you owe on whatever? Like, and it didn't matter. Like literally, I could bury at least $100,000 of negative equity on a car. And so if they wanted a different car, you could always do the deal. But of course, the cars weren't worth what I was selling them at. Like, I mean, you had to try to sell them. And they were paying us a $6,000 flat to sell each of them. And I sold 20 out of the 21. And every one of the guys, like, you couldn't answer their phone calls anymore because they're so upside down. I mean, like, you could never trade them because it was impossible. But yeah, made a lot of money that month.
Do you ever, did you ever sell used inventory?
Tons, yeah, absolutely. About like 70 or 80% used.
You ever have customers come back and serious issues with the car, and that like it's not, you're not the dealer, but you sold them a car with some serious issues and feel bad about it?
Yeah, but generally I could essentially, at that point, I'm more on the customer side because I have to maintain the relationship. So I'm trying to convince the dealer to take care of it. And in most cases they would. Like, bad reviews are expensive. I mean, if you're at a Ford store,
not so much.
They don't care.
Yeah.
When I bought my 300 like 8-9 years ago, whatever it was, like I went, and before I got the black one, I had a navy blue one very briefly. And I went in and I got it and I drove it off the lot to a friend's house because I had plans to hang out that day, whatever summer it was. And I get there, I get out, hang out with my friends for a couple hours.
Car, Taylor?
It's a used car, yeah. And I come back, hop in it, back out of their driveway, and start to drive away. And it like starts gassing and steaming and smoking immediately. And the car just will not run. Like it's just making a bunch of weird noises, and I'm not car savvy enough to know. So I just get out of it after it's like totally died and just have to call them and be like, hey, you know that car I bought at noon today? Yeah, there's gas and smoke and stuff pouring out of it. This is fucking ridiculous. I want a new car, a different one of these at a discount. And so I went back and got like the V8 Hemi version for a slightly cheaper price, which has actually cost me a lot more money in the long run with gas.
Yeah, for sure. I sold a lady a convertible Mustang one time, a used one, And she was very happy, but then she's always calling me like the sunroof, the roof leaks. And I'm just like, well, bring it in and talk to the manager. I was like, I can't do anything about it. I'm sorry that it leaks. And she's like, and it makes this awful noise on the highway. And I'm like, again, you have to come in and talk to Dimitri about that. Cause that's not my area of expertise. He's the used
It
car
sounds
guy.
like someone's kicking and screaming in the trunk.
She comes in and I'm like, Dimitri, the lady with the Mustang's here, the leaky sunroof and the one that makes the noise. And he comes over and she's like, yeah, whenever I get above 80 on the highway, it just makes this awful noise. And he goes, ma'am, speed limit is 70 miles per hour. Stay below 70, you'll have no trouble. I'm just sitting there like, he's got a good point.
I like to think that doesn't fly at the McLaren dealership.
Well, so we had as carbon ceramic brakes have become standard equipment on so many cars. Carbon ceramic brakes squeak really badly if you don't use them up to temperature. So if you just drive it like a normal car and not like a race car, it can be extremely loud when you try to brake. And the only way to fix it is to go really fast and brake really hard. And so we would sell these guys these cars, and a week later they come in and they're like, especially on Ferrari Californias for some reason, because people buy them to drive them more like Mercedes or BMWs. And so they would bring them back in and say, oh, the brakes squeak so bad. I feel like I need them. And literally every time they just throw me the keys, and I would be like, distract this dude for a little bit. And I would go out and do our test drive lap and just run it up to 150 miles an hour. And you can't stomp on the brakes. You have to very aggressively and firmly apply them. And you don't need to stop all the way, but if you just brake down to like 50 and then accelerate back up and then brake hard down to 50, it'll scuff off the top of the pad and it'll work just fine.
That sounds like a good time. Is it a good time or does that wear out?
No, because you kind of like at that point, like if you get pulled over going 150 miles an hour, doing your standard procedure of doing, like, they didn't care. It was not a big deal.
Like, if you asked me to do that, that might be the coolest thing I do this month, right? but if you do it a lot, like it's work, right? It's the job.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I mean, we still had to sell cars that were like in weird situations. Like we had one guy, McLaren's. There's about a 100% chance that they will break in the first week that someone owns one, and we had a guy who complained enough that we ended up essentially creating a deal where he got a different new one. We didn't really lemon law the car, but it had enough issues that we just let him have another one. But he put like 300 miles on it, but the warranty was started. They call that being punched. And so it was kind of punched as a demo in inventory for a little while. But I sold it to this guy who, for tax purposes, like had to buy an untitled car. And I had been told by the general manager that did the deal to get the car back that it had not been titled. It was still absolutely a brand new car. But what had happened was they had titled it initially in another state. And he had made our title clerk contact that state on a daily basis, pull the title out, and essentially rip up the new title that was made so that it could stay new and he wouldn't have to sell it as a used car, which is like super illegal. And I sell the car in good faith saying, look, I've been told by the person who did the deal that it is absolutely a new car. And in his head it was, but since that title was created and printed, not in 1948, but in 2014 or 15, it absolutely showed up. So this guy starts to find some issues with his car and he decides to pull a Carfax on it. And it shows like a title issued in another state at a lower mileage, and he freaks out. And I tell him, like, look, there's only two possible explanations for this. I said, the first is that we are the most dishonest people that have ever walked the earth.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I said, but the second option is we are absolute morons and don't know what we're doing. And I want to make sure that you understand before we talk any further that it is the second option. And we don't have a clue. And so we ended up kind of essentially doing the same thing again, giving him another new car in exchange for that one. But the title clerk was like, she came up to me during the deal and said, do whatever he wants because I am not testifying on this one. Okay.
I am not taking the word of any car salesman after this discussion. I'm gonna always assume the duplicitous angle. I think.
Well,
I think Woody's on the same page.
Well, you get asked to do stuff that, because you're kind of like the hired gun as the sales guy. You're beholden to your bosses to do what they tell you to. Like I mentioned before that my general manager crashed a car running through a stoplight that he didn't know was red. Well, that wasn't a car we owned at the time. I was trying to sell a Nissan GTR to a repeat customer I'd done a ton of business with. Was a really nice guy. And he was trading a C63 Mercedes. And so generally the sales manager or the general manager would take it for a ride around the block, especially if it's out of warranty, see if there's any lights on, any misalignment or anything, just kind of look at the car to appraise it. So I'm in the process of talking to this guy, and I see across the showroom, another one of my sales guys answers the phone and I just hear his side of the conversation. Obviously he goes, "Oh no." He says, "Are you okay?" And I go, "Oh, darn it." And so I was like, I told this guy, "Give me a second. I'm going to walk in here." And I saw him also beelining into the sales manager's office that was going to kind of tell us what to do. And he says, "All right, so-and-so just crashed the car. It is 100% totaled. He's going to be in an ambulance on the way to the hospital." So my sales manager could have said, "All right, let's go tell this guy what's happened to his car, and we'll work out something that's very reasonable. We'll take full responsibility." That's not what he said. He goes, "Ed, sell that car in the next 5 minutes before he wonders where his trade is." And I'm like, well, I mean, this guy normally takes like 3-4 hours to negotiate a car deal. So I go, well, that sounds like a fun game to play. I'll go do it. And I did it. I talked him into it. And so finally he's like, "All right, I'm going to go start getting some stuff out of my car." I was like, "You know what? Nope. We're going to have a porter do that. Don't you worry about your old car. I'll get your plate, everything off of it." He's like, "Yeah, all right. Well, my golf clubs are in the truck." I'm like, "Okay, all right." So we get out there. Trunk is like demolished. It's just like, I'm like, "You know what? I think we're going to bring those to you tomorrow. I'm not sure they'd fit in the GTR's trunk." And he's like, "Okay." So, and finally, like it takes, we eventually tell him that, "Hey, so-and-so crashed your car. He's fine. Everybody's fine ish. And it's yours." And he was actually really worried that it was like going to undo the deal at that point because he'd become very excited about his new car. So it worked quite well. Like he stayed very happy with the whole thing, but I guess there was some leverage he didn't get to use against us.
Yeah, you guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we're not trustworthy people.
I keep thinking about, I am a sheep, a lamb in this world.
You are a lemming, sir.
Yeah.
Following the likes of Kyle and Ed off the price cliff.
You're selling a product, right? You're selling a product. The sticker price is there. It's not like we're going above. Well,
no. I'm like, from a sales perspective, I've got a lot of respect for this. This is really intense stuff. But you always hear this stuff about car salesmen and the whole industry of car sales, and then to hear it firsthand, it's like, oh wow, like a lot of those aren't myths.
It's mostly like that for used cars, though, unless the person's really dumb. Because used cars, they don't know what you took the car in on. You may have bamboozled the person who traded that car in, and so if you can double bamboozle, if you can bamboozle the guy who buys it, then you could make a $12,000 profit. Maybe you gave the guy $6,000 less than what the trade-in was made, and then you sell it for $6,000 more than it's worth, and you can really go to town. I did that once with an Excursion. Like when I took it down on trade, I was like, man, look at the gas prices out there. And this was like 2005. Gas was maybe close to $4 a gallon in Atlanta. It was like, look at the gas prices. This thing, you got a V10 Excursion here. And that's not even the desirable one. Just really downselling the thing. But then when I go to sell it, this is a premier vehicle. You got the V10. All right, that's the good one. It's
the biggest number.
It's more V's than anything else. Yeah,
this is literally
the most V's you could get.
This is literally the largest SUV ever made by a man. All right, they're discontinued. That's how big they are. You can fit a smart car in the back hatch of this truck. Okay,
these are so popular. They're discontinuing them.
And that was all true.
This green Ford that I think
Yeah,
you linked,
the
Kyle.
one.
Yeah.
That is horrific.
This
Yeah, that's the one.
the Griswolds
had-
would buy this thing.
That
I
looks
had
like a
one
very
hell of a-
British car to drive for a Ford, though.
He
so it
loved
fits in.
it. He loved it so much.
yeah.
He came back and bought another car from me after that. He was so pleased. He brought his wife. Like they loved me to death. And I had a good sales pitch for that car. Like just talking about the Volvo chassis and comparing Ford to Volvo for some reason as far as safety, just drawing a parallel there. And I've gone through my bullshit like walk around speech, that I did on every single car that was identical in every
This one
single
comes
car.
with the Kevlar belts.
Yeah. These fan belts are made out of Kevlar, the same stuff that make bullet. They are all made out of Kevlar.
You could probably tell people that the windows on their car are bulletproof.
Right. How are they going to go test it?
How are they going to
Yeah.
know? If someone tries to shoot them while they're in there, problem solved. Ostensibly, because it's not
Yeah.
bulletproof.
2014 Mustang, red with a black racing stripe, V6. It's a V6.